This One News update is brought to you by ANZ, strategic partner of National Field Days.
A Reserve Bank Governor's outlook is no encouragement for the government. Alan Bollard says there's no way John Key will get the books back in surplus in the next 3 years. Political editor Corin Dan looks at the conflicting economic predictions. Corin.
Yes, good evening, Wendy. Not a huge surprise that we didn't see a cut in the official cash rate today. Reserve Bank Governor Alan Bollard actually needs to keep some ammo up his sleeve in case things get really bad in Europe. But make no mistake, this was a very gloomy outlook from the Governor, and it just goes to show that it's going to be very difficult for New Zealand to have a recovery. In last month's budget, the government proudly paraded Treasury forecasts showing a return to surplus in 2014-2015. But the Reserve Bank says its more up-to-date numbers tell a different story.
A consequence of all of that is actually we do have a bit of a different fiscal track. We take another 2 years for the government to get back into surplus.
Prime Minister John Key was out looking at a new youth retail training program today.
Great coffee, that's a reference, hire me.
And the last thing he needed was a lesson from the Reserve Bank Governor.
The best we can do is accept that he's factoring in a tougher time for the rest of the world. We need to acknowledge that, but I think we've got to continue with our program. There's nothing different that we'd want to do at this time.
Alan Bollard, in fact, listed a number of headwinds for the economy, including falling export prices, although Europe is the main worry.
We don't think Eurozone issues are going to clear up on Sunday after the Greek election or for some time after that.
Perhaps more problematic for the government as it looks to balance the books and pay for superannuation and health is Dr Bollard's suggestion the global financial crisis has scarred New Zealand and reduced the speed at which it can grow.
It means that New Zealand will be growing at a third of the rate of our trading partners. So this is New Zealand's problem, it's not the fault of other countries.
We're an export-dependent nation, we're doing nothing about fixing up that part, which is a major elemental problem in New Zealand's economy at the moment, has been for years.
If there is one glimmer of hope, it remains a rebuild in Christchurch, with the Reserve Bank forecasting it to play a big part in the country's recovery.
So, Corin, as we reported at the start, these are good times for the housing market, but that could be a worry for Alan Bollard.
Yeah, he'll be watching this closely. He probably won't mind a little bit of fizz in the housing market at the moment. It's one bit of activity, I suppose, economic activity at least. But he can't afford another boom, and he is watching it, and he won't allow it to happen. He won't use interest rates, though, this time to try and stop it as he did a few years ago. He'll try and stomp on it by using some other tools he's trying to get off the government. These include basically sandbagging the banks so that they wouldn't be able to lend as much, and also restricting those 95% loans, those ratio loans, just to make lending a little bit more difficult.
All right, thanks for that, Corin. Corin Dan in Parliament.
This One News update is brought to you by ANZ, strategic partner of National Field Days.